You're listening to the Marginally Geeky Show, the epically geeky book club.
Greetings and welcome to the Marginally Geeky Show. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. Tonight I'm joined by Sean, Joseph, Chris, and Ray. How's everyone doing?
All right.
Okay. It's like it's an audio podcast, guys. Say something. I'm having a problem because apparently the headphone jack on my mixer went out, so I'm using my Bluetooth. Normally I can hear myself talking and I can't hear myself talking, so this is kind of weird for me. But yeah, so if I seem like I lag a little bit, it's because of me. Anyway, so tonight is episode 88. We are actually covering 2 books. We almost covered 3. But tonight we're discussing Dungeon Crawler Carl and Carl's Doomsday Scenario, which are the first 2 books in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. Oh, look, you've got hardcovers of both of them. So, Joseph, this was your pick. So we'll start off with, why did you pick this book and how did you hear about it?
So I had just finished, I think it was book 5 of Expeditionary Force. And I had a credit that I had a credit to burn, and I was thinking, like, well, do I go straight to book 6? Do I go ahead and pre-order Not Till We Are Lost, because they happen around that time? And so I was just kind of scrolling through Audible, and really and truly, I saw the cover art, and I was like, the hell is this? And it was enough to catch my attention immediately. So I clicked on it and I read it. I was like, this sounds like it could be kind of cool. And if it's not, I'll return it after, a couple hours or whatnot. And the rest, as they say, is history. I have not been able to shut up about it. I have been very excited about this show. Elaine wants me to stop talking about this book, but I'm halfway through book 6 now and don't know what I'm going to listen to until book 7 comes out in February.
Fair enough. For those of you, not that we have a picture of it, but take a second, go to Audible and look up this book, and you will see the cover. It is it's a guy in his late 20s that he's fairly built guy, but you can't really tell that because he's wearing a leather jacket and like boxers with like white boxers with like hearts on them or whatever. He's not wearing any pants. And him and this fluffy, flat-faced cat are being chased by what looks like a troll on some kind of a murder dozer thing. Yeah, Ray's showing a picture of it on the screen. So go check out the cover. I can see why the cover was like, what the hell is this? Let me check this out. So yeah, this was your pick. In preparation for the episode, I'm gonna go through the synopsis, at least of book 1, but the book's been out for several years, which is why it has so many ratings. But book 1 has a 4.9 out of 21,000 reviews. Book 2 has a 4.9 out of 14,000 reviews. So there's a lot of people that like this book series. So it's one of those. It's like, I wonder how well this is known. Apparently, it's fairly well known. I want to say that Audible has been trying to suggest this one to me for a while, and I just hadn't either noticed it or whatever. But yeah, I know it's kind of been after me about reading it. In fact, I was going through Audible. I don't know if you're aware of this, but in Audible, you can actually go and find an author and you can follow them. So the Audible will give you alerts whenever the author puts out new work. And I was like going back through and I was just like, oh, let me make sure I've got everyone's, I'm following the authors that I want to do. And I clicked follow on this author and I scrolled all the way down to the page and I sent a picture to the rest of the group. And of the 6 other authors it recommended, like 3 of them are favorite authors of people on this group. So I'm just like, well, maybe the other 3 that it suggests I should go check out next. So good on you, Audible. Let's see here. The apocalypse will be televised. A man, his ex-girlfriend's cat, a sadistic game show unlike anything in the universe, a dungeon crawl where survival depends on killing your prey in the most entertaining way possible. I'm not going to go through all of it, but that's a really good setup. So the book series is essentially, it's unfortunately the setup for this. It kind of is like trying to tell someone to set up for the Bobaverse books. In that, I think the last time we were talking about Sean's like, get to the good part. Like you're just talking about. No one cares about the setup. Get to the good part where we find out he's a robot in the future. So essentially, aliens come to Earth. They destroy almost everything. In book one, I think we start off with like 10 million people left total. And they're told you can either go down in this dungeon and fight for survival, or you can stay out on the top of the planet and good luck to you. But by the way, there's nothing left. Like every building's been flattened. There's no one here. Like it's complete wasteland. So he follows the cat down into this dungeon, and thus begins our real story. Very quickly, the cat becomes sentient. Princess Donut is her name, not her full name, mind you. And it's following the antics of these two as they go through and interact with other people, other characters, and just it's funny because it's dark, but it's also really, really funny. So I mean, I'm already talking, so I'm enjoying this book. I'm enjoying the hell out of this book. I enjoyed the hell out of the second one too. And like I said just a few seconds ago, we almost reviewed book 3 because Sean, have you finished book 3 yet?
No, I'm about halfway through it.
Okay. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm done. I finished it the other day.
Okay. So yeah, we almost did books 1, 2, and 3 because, and I've finished the first 3 as well. Yeah, I just, first impressions, I was like, okay, this is kind of quirky. Let's see where this goes. And I've been stuck listening to it ever since. Sean, initial thoughts?
Unlike you guys, like Audible did not recommend this one. I went through and it was Joseph that brought this one up. It wasn't in any of my recommendations, which Audible failed miserably on that for me because this series is right up my alley. I'm loving it. I had a bit of a credit snafu with Audible doing giving 3 credits and get a 4th one free kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I was waiting for my 3rd credit to come for the month. So that's why I read the first 2 books really fast and then I had to wait. So I listened to a book in between. So that's why I'm a little bit behind, but it's killing me. But I got them all now. I got all of them in the series, so I'm just getting through them. But no, this is a series that I can see myself listening to again in the future. So it's hilarious. It is so good. The narration is just absolutely perfect. And the story is so original. It's such a mix of so many different genres and all that. It's just, loving it. So that's my initials.
Ray?
I can't even pretend that it sucks. It's just I've got 9 hours left of book 6 right now. Book 5, not book 5. And I have been anybody who even enjoys, if they just enjoy gaming or they enjoy D&D or that kind of thing, I've been recommending if you never listen to any other audiobook and you enjoy those things, I think this is a series for you to listen to because it's just well done all around. Yeah. Plus, it kind of sounds like you're listening to Kronk.
Chris, you were the one when I started listening to this. I was like, some of this is kind of dark. Some of this is a little out there. And I was like, I don't know. You're the one. I was like, I don't know if Chris is going to enjoy this one.
No, I really liked it because I started listening to it before he did, and I'm like, "Bet this is really, really good. You have to." And I was the one bugging the crap out of him, no, you have to. really like it. And then we've gotten Quinn on it too after we've basically harassed him to listen to it.
It surpassed you in the first book, and then I just took off.
Yeah.
It was
2-hour commute helps
yes,
with that.
big time.
Because I was saying, because I listened to 1.2, because I'm a Audible baby. He sounds like Kronk, but it's a very Kronk Yzma vibe. And I was just like, I love this, because Emperor's New Groove is one of my favorite movies. And as I was listening to it, I'm like, this is like Ready Player One meets The Hunger Games, except there's aliens. I'm like, this is amazing. This is the best thing ever. The narration's really, really helping with that. I'm sure if I had like just regular read it, it wouldn't have. I mean, I probably thought it was really good, but I would have inadvertently skimmed over some of the stuff, especially with all the squishing and the sculpting and some of that stuff. I would have
some fetishes.
Oh, that I would have pulled my ears off. But I really like, because it's fun. Now it is graphic. There's some stuff that is graphic, but it's just graphic, and that's fine. It's not creepy. It's not. It's dark because the subject matter. It's like a big deal. Aliens come down and basically take over your world, and like billions of people are gone just like that. That in itself is really dark subject matter, but for whatever reason, it's super entertaining. Really good.
We need to come up with some terms for certain things that we have, because I mean the Bobberverse it falls into this as well. But like there's just sometimes it's just fun into the world. Like, a lot of movies makes you, it's just like, wow, I feel horrible. I need to watch something uplifting. And this is fun into the world. So, yeah. But Joseph, I'm not gonna go on. I'm not gonna ask you because obviously you enjoyed it as well. So I guess we'll just go ahead and jump right into it. We'll start with the characters. First off, we have Carl. Obviously, he's the main character. Carl's a good dude. I like Carl. There's been several times where he's questioned what he should do, and he always ends up coming up with the right answer. Or when he comes up with an answer that is hard or something that you're just like, man, that's kind of dark. Like, he very much explains it to himself. He's like, yeah, it sucks that I'm having to do this, but this is the world I'm living in. He's like, yeah, I'm not happy about it, but I've got to do what I got to do to save me and the cat. So, any more thoughts on Carl?
He's not really a good boyfriend. Just the way he describes Beatrice, I'm like,
she wasn't great either, though.
No.
I was going to say she was horrible.
People are like they're probably fine individually, but together, like he just makes it sound like he's like a really bored boyfriend because he has nothing to do with any of her cat showing stuff. He's not interested in it at all, and even says so. And then he keeps saying he's not for drama. I'm like, dude, you're very dramatic. That's all you're doing. A lot of things.
What are you talking about?
But I do like how like his Coast Guard training really sort of like snaps him into those scenarios where he has to like think on his feet really, really quickly. He's very good at that. And I do like that because it helps move the story along. And I do like how he interacts with Donut because he's nurturing to her and he's really patient. Like he's a better boyfriend to Donut than he wants to be.
God damn it, Donut.
Well, yeah, you kind of get that he's always kind of like Donut. It was, I mean, she even said like, at one point she was like, I saw you looking at the listings and you wouldn't have gotten away with taking me after you broke up with her. But, obviously he does care for the cat. I mean, he even said, he's like, why the hell? So in the beginning of the book, the reason why he survives, the reason anyone survives is because they just happen to be outside when literally every building, every structure on the earth basically flattens down in like a millisecond and crushing everyone that's in it. And he happened to be outside because the cat jumped outside, during a winter storm, and he went outside real quick, threw on a jacket. He was still in his boxers, basically put on, I think they were like pink flip-flops or something or another that were too small.
Beatrice's pink Crocs.
Oh, the Crocs. That's right.
Pink Crocs. And then goes outside to save the cat. And that's how he has to start off in the dungeon is running around with this leather jacket and no pants on, essentially. So
I am a little bummed that Pink Crocs didn't survive. I really would have loved to have him running around the dungeon with that and Pink Crocs. It just would have been really good.
I don't know. It's
You would be
really
missing out on
funny.
a whole narrative there with the AI and Carl's.
I was going to say that's what's
Oh,
really
yeah.
funny. And that's where, okay, and not to jump ahead, but that's where the narration really does shine. So like when he's just like, yeah, this next achievement came on and it's like, sound like a dude he was beating off. And he's like, it was really weirding me out.
Oh,
And the guy and the voice actor does, I mean, he's just like, he's really like heavy breathing, really into it. I'm just like, God, this is hilarious. So
Too much. He went
too
in
much.
hard. It was just like,
So speaking of new, speaking of narration and stuff like that, when you talk about the AI, we now use new achievement in this house.
yep, we do.
Fair enough. What's funny is before we started reading this, the only meme I see of that would be popping up, and usually it was some hot chick doing something kind of weird, like maybe she'd be dressed up as a cat, or she would be talking in a southern accent or something. It'd be just some guy, and it pops up and says, "Achievement unlocked," or new kink unlocked, and he's just like, "Damn it."
Yep.
So that's that, and so every time the new achievement comes up, that's what I picture. Of course, if you have an Xbox or you play on PlayStation, you know what that achievement looks like. It's either an achievement or a trophy, but you know it pops up and it tells you, "Hey, something new's happened." So, and so obviously we have to go to the second biggest character, and that is Princess Donut. What's hard is I keep picturing, because one of my cats is named Leia. So I do call her Princess from time to time. And because she's not a general. She is not General Leia. She is definitely Princess Leia. And so I keep picturing Donut looking like my cat, but that's not how she looks. She's a flat-faced turtle shell Persian. So I have to kind of keep registering that in my head. But her personality is hilarious.
The fact that she can't not type in all caps and the author or the narrator yells when she speaks is hilarious.
Yes.
So much.
That's so
It's
good.
kind of annoying a little bit, but then you have to start laughing because it's just like, damn it, Donut.
Yeah.
I like that they describe her as a child. Like we were, Quinn and I were, the three of us were talking about this because he's not finished the first book yet, but he's well into it. And he's like, she's intelligent, but she doesn't have much wisdom. So she's like a child. And I like how they describe her like that. And I like how people pick up on that really quickly. Like, yeah, she's very smart. She's very charismatic, but she doesn't have a lot of experience. She doesn't have a lot of wisdom, and she is a child. And I do like how they put that out there, because she does say the most ridiculous things. And it's just like, okay.
I love how she always describes like all the guys that came over when
Yeah.
is
Oh my God, yes.
apartment. Those are just, and it's like a new one every time. It's like, oh, there's one guy that was dancing, and then this guy.
Well, Carl,
Oh man.
I didn't do that. Oh no, that was the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a 4-year-old who just like blurts stuff out, and you're like, oh, Kate, that is an inside thought, kid. You are not wrong. That's inside. Don't say that out loud.
So when I think Chris was the first one that started it, besides me. She and I had been talking. And I was like, the book is good until, and that was like our little thing talking about is until Donut became sentient. Then it became like, all right, this is great, because that interaction is killer.
Well, that's same with like when Skippy was introduced. It brought up Expeditionary Force to a whole new level.
The difference there is it took 9 hours for Skippy to show up.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Donut becomes sentient pretty damn quick. I have, not only did I finish book 3, like I said, I'm currently out of credits. So I went back and re-listened. I've already finished book 1 again, and I'm probably halfway through book 2 again. It's easy to listen to it at double speed once I've listened to it the first time through. The first time through, though, I'm like, I can't be doing too much that I'm have to thinking about. because I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Because I did have a couple places where I had to back up. And I'm just like, wait,
Yeah.
what happened? Because there's some crazy shit that happens. Like, and it comes out of left field. We'll talk about favorite parts here in just a few minutes. So I did put down Beatrice, aka B. We don't ever meet her, at least up to this point in the book series. I don't know if we ever will. But she is referenced multiple times. And just sounds like she really wasn't that. I mean, okay, obviously she wasn't a great girlfriend because at one point she was cheating on Carl with 2 other people at the same time. So
At least.
At
But,
least, yeah.
at least, yeah.
And she was trying to
and
get
which
rid of
is
Donut.
funny. And which is funny. Yes, and exactly. Yes, she was planning on getting rid of Donut, which Carl, at least up to this point, was like, I can never tell her this.
Couldn't remember if that was in the second book or the third book, so I'm glad that's been.
So, actually, it was in the first one. It was in the first one when he brought it up. So, yeah.
Okay.
He's brought it up multiple times. So
Yeah. Next up is Mordecai. Now, Mordecai is our. Well, he ends up becoming basically kind of like their master Yoda. He's the one that's been helping them out. But yeah, he starts off in the first dungeon. So in the first dungeon, he's a rat. In the second dungeon,
he's a demon.
What did he?
He's a
that's the demon in the third one.
He's an incubus.
Yeah.
Incubus, yeah.
That's in book 2.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what he turned to at the second one.
But
Anyway, so depending on where he is in the dungeon, he changes into different things. But anyway, so he what do we think of Mordecai? I love Mordecai. Like
I think where his character really takes off is that they introduce him as a former crawler, and then as you meet former crawlers and you start to kind of grasp that how big this is in universe spanning. I think that is really, really cool. Mordecai, as the book series progresses, becomes really, really important. He becomes essentially a party member, even though he doesn't really partake in any of the battles and whatnot. And I think based on up to this point in book 3, the other people that you've met and the way they've talked about their game guides, they got lucky with Mordecai.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because in book 3, it becomes very obvious that the person who's guiding at least one of the other groups was like, wow, that was a shitty person. Like So, but yeah, I like Mordecai. It's funny because even he has to say, damn it, donut from time to time, just because of some of the stuff that happens. So, he starts off just being like, who's he, like a guild leader? No.
He's a guild master or something. He's in the guild. He's the guild guy.
He's a guide.
And then in book 2, when they get to level 3 and they get to pick their new races if they're going to change race and then change their class, Donut picks former child actor. And then Mordecai thus becomes her manager, and while it limits him from some other things, that's what, like you said, he ends up becoming basically a party member, essentially. So, but let's see some other characters I wanted to throw out there real quick. In the first book, and actually it does continue on in the other books. We have the Meadowlark elderly people. There's some standout people from there. I can't really go into what happens exactly with Ellie, but she's a hoot when she's at the one point when she's talking about how her former husband and her used to go in the tunnel of love, and she's just like, oh yeah, I'd let him touch me over my shirt, but he wasn't that good to look at. If it was you, I'd let you go a lot further. And he's just like, thanks. What do you do with that?
I can't remember if this is book 1 or book 2. I think it's book 1, that the Meadowlark people are basically the reason why the AI won't let people use the bathroom in the dungeon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, because the demon comes because old dude is peeing in the hallway. Yeah.
He's on the wall.
Yeah. Okay, so we also meet Zev in the first book, and we meet Zev in the first book, and she is essentially their how do I want to put
She's
this?
like their corporate liaison. That's how
Yeah.
I care.
Yeah, essentially,
categorize her.
yeah.
Social.
She's like an
Yeah.
agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, PR agent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're
PR
agents.
agent. That's the word I'm looking for. Good job, Sean. Yeah, she's basically their PR agent, so that and is kind of an in between them and everything that's going on with the company. So I guess we should actually hit that here in a second. We'll get there in a second. And then I threw these two together, even though they stay together. I think in book 2, book 3 is where things happen. But we have this is where we start to get dark. Frank Q and Maggie Mai.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the more that comes out about that, the darker it gets.
Yeah.
Those motherfuckers.
Yes.
Yeah, those motherfuckers, exactly. So other crawlers that are not good people. And it's funny going back to what you were saying about Donut. Whenever Frank gives his lies about who he is and what he did and everything else, and she's screaming at or yelling at Carl on the chat, he's an American hero,
Yeah.
and then finds out that he's trying to kill us,
Yeah.
and she's then she's pissed off. But yeah. Let's see here. Is there anyone else? Audette, the alien host we meet
Yeah.
at the end of the episodes. Yeah, she's lots of fun.
Takes off your fucking head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes everything off.
Yeah. That was quite the picture he painted with that one, like removing all the body parts. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
Yeah. It's
I
very
kept thinking, there's no way we could get a live action version of this. Maybe an animated version, but
Yeah.
HBO, buddy.
No.
oh yeah, they could.
dude, I don't know, man. Like every single shot would be a special effects shot, because even if it's just Carl and Donut sitting in a room, especially later on, you go, because then you have yet another character. The next one's bring up is Mongo. So you would have literally have just the least special effects shot would be Carl, a talking cat, and a small velociraptor. Like,
I like it.
unless you're okay with the graphics being a couple of steps down, I mean,
I do.
So-
Speaking of Mongo, I like how when they got him, they thought he was just a chicken, and
Yeah.
a very angry chicken. And as he has evolved, they kind of figure out what he actually is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Well,
wasn't
who is it? I think it's
Zev
Zev.
was
Yeah.
Zev was the one that like had to give them the translation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh shit. It's a velociraptor.
Well, I mean, some of the things they described in the book, I was just like, okay, this could be anything. And I kind of thought, well, is it going to be is it going to be a dinosaur-like creature? But even then, it's like, I don't know what it's exactly going to be. But when she flat out says, "Oh no, it's a velociraptor," I'm like, oh, okay. So now I know how to picture Mongo in my head. So
Yeah, there's
I love
there's
when
such
he
a
gets something that doesn't agree with him and he like yaks it up.
yes.
Yeah. I picture him like the T-Rex from Meet the Robinsons.
Oh yeah.
yeah, he's very much he gives off very much like dinosaur puppy type
Yes.
thing. So, and I love the fact that before they fully bond, and even afterwards, some like he's just like constantly biting Donut on the nose.
Mongo,
So-
no. You
Yeah,
hear that a
Mongo,
lot.
no. That would be her catchphrase.
Yeah.
Damn it, Mongo. Heard that a few times too. No, Mongo is so like whenever he's in it,
Mhm.
it's just hilarious. Like trying to tame a chicken.
Yeah.
Essentially, yes.
Oh.
And then the
Speaking
last
of
person
I
go
would
on.
say to talk about like just how the book is, the way they get Mongo, like the way he figures out how to kill that boss is something is one of those things where like if I were playing an RPG or playing Dungeons and Dragons, that's kind of one of the things that I would hope that one of us, if we were all playing, like, can we think, okay, I don't want to go in there. What if I send a shit ton of bombs on a cart and let's just see what happens, I would hope that that's kind of the way we would think about it as well.
Yeah.
The only other person I wanted to bring up specifically was Agatha, and she kind of shows up. There's definitely some other stuff going on there, which even in by book 3, it's just like, yeah, there's more stuff going on there than you know. But because we were introduced to her as just being this crazy old lady that's wandering around or whatever, and then we start getting clues that there's something else going on there, and I'm sure it's going to end up becoming a thing. I just don't know when.
Is it book 2 when Carl figures out the thing about the inventory, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's like, when he can see other people's inventory and the way she freaks out when he takes her shopping cart.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's book 2.
And then I just wanted, you got a squeaky wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The way he played it off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then literally the next part, I think, is he's talking to Zev, and she's just like, yeah, something happened with the cameras. We don't, it's been happening on and off. We don't know, but it's back. It's fine. And just kept moving on. And it's just like, oh shit. Like not even the owners can see what the fuck's going on. So
Yeah.
there's
one of the main character you missed. You missed the AI.
Okay. I should have brought up the AI.
Yes.
I thought, I will say, like, the AI in the first 2 books is the AI.
Mm-hmm.
It really, afterwards, I find is when its personality really starts coming through.
Well, when I've noticed when Carl and Donut didn't get the Infinity boxes because of a technicality.
Oh yeah.
And they pissed off the AI.
Celestial box.
Yeah.
She won't let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, because when that happens,
it's hilarious.
Yeah, when that happens, it's because it does greatly change things. I think that's in book 3, but and I have a feeling we're probably going to eventually have to come back and review. Maybe we have to do 3 and 4 together or something. I don't know. We'll see. But I have a feeling we're going to be coming back to this series. So, well, let's go ahead and start talking about favorite scenes. Well, you know what? No, I'm gonna drop that back. Let's start off with any scenes you didn't care for, because I think this is going to be a much shorter conversation.
I didn't appreciate how realistic that foot fetish thing was. Really could have gone my whole life without doing that. That was a little much.
Buckle
Fair
up,
enough.
Chris.
No.
I have let her know she has not heard the last of that.
Yes, I know that. Yeah, that was one. And then there was another one. Of the quest in the third level, on the third level, all that questing that they did. There was one, I think it was the last one. I must have been doing something else or not paying attention, but I'm like, oh, this is never ending. This quest is going to go. I don't even know what's happening anymore. That one for me was a little with the sky people or something, and
yeah, I know. Yeah,
falling out of the
soul stone things, and that one I was like having a hard time keeping.
So that was remix. Motherfucker wouldn't get his story out.
Yeah.
What I will say is, if you're listening to it, it's, for me, it's the reminder of, this is an NPC, but this isn't who he is. So he's trying to remember what he needs to say versus what he's actually remembering as well. So that's how I took it.
It definitely, the more you go, like I said, I've only finished book 3, but it definitely, knowing what I know from book 3 and going back already, I'm already just like, oh yeah, there's a lot going on here that we just don't. There's a lot deeper stuff going on here. And to go ahead and skip down to, or do you have any questions for the writer? My first question would be, how far did you have planned out? Like, because, so far all 3 books are syncing pretty good together.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, did you have if we're going to go all 18 floors, do you have at least a general idea of what all 18 floors are going to be? Or are you just like, I got the first few, I'll keep going as I go along.
So according to Matt Dinniman, I watched one of his like pressers at a recent Comic-Con that he was at. He's got 10 books planned out already.
Okay.
How that translates to number of floors, I don't know, because the rate at which they clear floors changes.
Yeah.
But there's at least going to be 10 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, and I was even having the thought.
What was that?
I was even having the thought today, listening to book 2. There's a part where he's having a conversation about how no one's gotten past 12. They have to have at least like 15 and 18 done. And he said, yeah, they have to have a plan. Now, the company that's doing this is garbage and is like barely hanging on. So I'm almost wondering if we're going to get later on and we're going to get some massive jumps. Like he's going to get to like, he is going to clear 12 and there's going to be like fucking nothing in 13. Like it's just going to be this wide open space and just be like, well, we didn't quite get to it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So who knows? We may skip some because I was going to ask, I know we're kind of jumping ahead there, but yeah, right. So book 1 covers floors 1 and 2. Book 2 covers book floor 3, and book 3 has covered floor 4.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all have gone up to 6. Do we get multiple floors per books, or is it?
I'm not saying anything.
I ain't saying shit.
All right, fair enough. So okay, I was just wondering if we were going to stay closer to 1 book per floor or whatever. So, all right, favorite scenes.
Oh, sorry. The one about the scenes that I didn't enjoy. It was a bit of the opening. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of waiting for like it did get into it quickly, but I was like, okay, what's going on? It was more the like, what the fuck are we doing here? And then it actually picked up pretty quickly. So it's that opening scene of course the cat runs out. Of course he chases the cat out. But
I think for me, it wasn't a particular scene. It's just the more I got into the book, the more I was like, talk more about the outside world. What about the other crawlers? What about the other crawls? Like, talk more about that. So it was more of like an impatience thing for me than anything.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, listening to it the first time, I would agree. It did seem to take it seemed like it took longer than it actually did to get things going. But like I said, going through it a second time, I was like, wow, we actually jumped into this pretty quick. So
very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially like Sean brought up, especially compared to Skippy. So yeah. All right. Favorite scenes. I'm like y'all. We also need to come up with some kind of a term for these types of books, because I think Fred the Vampire Slayer, Vampire Accountant, very much kind of falls into this category of something has to be done. There's something that has to be, we've got to figure out how to get out of this trap or situation or whatever it is. We probably don't have the muscle to do it. Let's use our wits about us. And even though Carl's not the smartest guy, and everyone says you're a crazy bastard for some of the stuff you're coming up with, that's how most of these things wrap up. Like, it's like, oh shit, this boss is like multiple levels ahead of us, but because they do something witty and crazy and slightly ingenious, it's a fun ride. And I'm greatly enjoying these types of books. So
he's a little MacGyver.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love the fact the second boss, the troll, where they take all the dynamite and stuff and basically just roll it in. And he's asking Donut, hey, did you see the boss? She goes, oh yeah, I saw him. He's huge or whatever. Man, he's surrounded by a bunch of babies. And that's where the chapter ends. That's what I'm saying. That's where it gets dark, but it's also just like, and he keeps talking, he even talks about it. He's just like, yeah, I killed a bunch of babies, but you know what? Fuck it. This is what they want me to do. They set up, even if I'd gone in there to fight him, I would have had to kill these things, and that would have been worse. So you know what? Fuck the company and fuck the situation and just fuck everything. But God,
you will not break me.
You will not break me. Is that on the inside sleeve of all of them?
That's the cover of this
of the first
book.
one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then the cover of the second one, I think, is appropriate as well.
Yeah.
Boom. Nice. Oh, those are well done. All right, other favorite scenes, people.
Yeah, these are.
I don't have a favorite. I never have favorite scenes, but for me, it's just the dynamic between Donut and Carl. I feel like he's got to know somebody in his life who he has that kind of dynamic with, or something similar. He's got a sibling he's like that with. I really like that. They play really well off each other, and they're just different enough that it creates a lot of fun dynamics. And as somebody who doesn't game like at all, if anything, all of that gaming stuff, that new achievement, the levels, everything, I'm like, this is so creative. Wow. It's like Diablo. And okay, well, that's a little less creative, but I like how he incorporated all of that, because I had no clue, none whatsoever. It doesn't make me want to play these games, but I just like how he really... he's very good with details. Very good with details. He seems, maybe, and that's why it's so good, is because he doesn't skimp over anything like that. He manages to like make it all flow really well.
He doesn't assume that everyone knows what things are already.
Mm-hmm. Which is helpful for somebody like me who is just really enjoying the story and has no background in gaming whatsoever to pull from.
Yeah,
I do appreciate the names of the spells. Not just conventional spell names.
Yeah, no, got nothing. I don't even know. And some of the demons and stuff like that, just from general movie watching and book reading and stuff, but like all that gaming stuff, it doesn't seem like intimidating as somebody who doesn't game. It's very, very approachable.
I appreciate we don't have. I've read several lit RPGs now. And sometimes they spend too much time going over the specifics of each, stat or whatever and how it changed. And we do get that from time to time, but it's not anywhere near as bad. And most of the time, I do like the fact that he's just like, I went up 5 levels in this one thing. He doesn't feel the need to read his entire stats.
He's so boring. No, it's just enough to be like, oh, okay, and it's a little interesting. It's like a little tidbit of information.
Well, and the one thing that I started to get a little bit annoyed with was like all the new achievements. I'm like, holy shit, are we going to get this every time? And we do get the new achievements, and I do enjoy it now. It is funny, but what I will say is, they skip over the ones that you don't need to know anymore. It's like, okay, these are
right.
Yeah. So
that's the one that still cracked me up. Like I was walking the campus and I'm listening. I have a headphone on. And I'm listening to it, and it's the what is it? Boost Cracker or something like that.
Oh, the Mana Toast.
Mana Toast. That's what it was. Yeah, Mana Toast. It's toast. It gives you mana. That's it. Fuck you. It's just like,
yeah. I have to say, for a scene that really sticks out to me is the introduction to Signet in book 2, and Carl having to break his finger.
Oh
yeah.
I forgot about that.
And Donut's yelling at Mordecai like
horrified.
That's probably one of my favorite movies.
I really enjoyed the way they figured out how to stop the pig ball, the orc.
Oh yeah.
The orgy ball.
The orgy ball. Yeah. Oh, and Carl is doing one of those things where in every RPG that I've ever played, I also do. If you have unlimited carry weight, I take everything.
Yep.
You know, you never know when you're going to need it.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, that to me is such a brilliant part of this, of like, because I'm the same way. If I can take anything, I'm taking it all. It's just
absolutely. Yeah, it depends like you said, if the game makes it so you can't, you've got a limited, amount of stuff you can take, then you start kind of figuring out. But otherwise, you loot everything. Yeah. Everything.
There's one thing I don't know if he will ever have this as an exploit in the game, but I think it'd be fucking hilarious if he put a bucket over an NPC or their head just in one shot, and then beat them. I think it'd be so in Skyrim, you can put a bucket over top of the shopkeeper's head, steal everything, and they won't even know.
Yep. I've heard about that.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
It's fantastic.
It is. But it's one of those things I guarantee when they were playtesting it, no one ever thought, can I do this? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I can. What happens?
So, and what I do like is that there are little things that they talk about exploits. And again, this gets later on, but they talk about that in like patches. The fucking patches in the game are.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that it's a little more deadly than we thought. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that was in the game. So I'm like, that's cool. Tells me that happens in Diablo all the time. I'm like, oh.
Oh yeah, we patched that in because whoops.
We fixed it when.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we fixed it whenever two people walk into a bathroom and you explode. So don't worry about that one anymore.
This is going to be, speaking of bathroom, this is going to be a running theme throughout the book. But every time Donut meets someone, the way she talks about the litter box is, have you tried the litter box? It's like, no, Donut, I'm not a cat.
Yeah. Right.
But that goes back to her being a child, like she's just excited to be there.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've kind of already talked about. I'm enjoying the writing. I think everyone else here is. It's funny. It is humorous. There are like I said though, there are some dark things, some dark topics, and we do have moments where Carl just like stops and is just like, everyone in the world is dead. Like it hits him, and I get that. Like I have those moments where it's just like, wow, like things are just like, this is how things are, and you kind of have to lock those away and keep going on. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting that he has those, and it's just like, oh, okay, cool. So it's not just me. So
yeah, it's the player count is interesting.
Oh, the player count. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That hits. Yeah.
It's like,
Just how quickly it's
fuck.
happening too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. Would you want to read another book by the author? Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So, has anyone checked out any of his other stuff yet, though?
When I finish book 6, in the gap that I have until book 7 is, I'm gonna give Kaiju, Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon, I think is what it's called.
Mhm.
It started out as like a web comic, so like the first few are like 30 minutes long, and then there's books for it. So that'll be the. If you read the comments under, I think it's book 3, there's some people in there. It's like, I came here because I read this other one.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, that's
that's
that
cool.
works. Let me go to this other one and see what that's like.
Yeah.
Okay.
How did it impact your mood? Makes me laugh all the damn time.
Yeah, I laugh all the time.
Yeah. I got like when I go for my walks, there's got to be somebody like when what's going on? Yeah, there have been times where I've just literally stopped and been like, giggled and been like, oh my god, and then just kept walking. But
so
yeah,
yesterday when I texted y'all that thing about there's something very blasphemous that happens in book 6,
yeah.
I was in the middle of Whole Foods. I did not like inside voice laugh. I laughed, and then the security guard started following me around because I must have looked like a maniac.
That's amazing.
I stopped the book, reread or re-listened to it a couple times, paused it. Normally I listen to it on my drive home. Did not do that. Waited for Elaine to get home. I was like, you have to listen to this part.
That's amazing. Whenever I go to work, we have to go through security, and I always have to pause it before I talk to the security guards. And there's been a couple of times where I've had to pause it well before because I'm still giggling when I get up to the security.
Yeah, I do the same, Ray.
Thankfully, most of them know me now, but
Yeah.
I was trying to see if I had put it on the chat here, if I send it somewhere else. I literally spit take one time. I was standing in the kitchen and I can't remember what it was. It was something or other about, yeah, that tasted like a barbecue goat's ass or something. Just something, the way that he just said it just hit me. And Chrissy, like, I'm standing there just spewing water on the cabinet. Chrissy's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm just like, that was too funny. It just hit just right. So yes, if you're listening to these books and you're out in public or whatever, just be aware something's going to happen, and it's gonna hit you. So, let's see. Any lingering questions?
oh,
Where did you get the idea from? Like, where did this happen? Like, why? Where? Just you playing and be like, this would be a cool book, or whatever. Watch something. Just where did he get the idea? It's very, very cool.
Did you sit down one day and watch The Running Man,
Mm-hmm.
Hunger Games, and then play a D&D session and be like, this would be a great book?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And see, I always wonder if that's how a lot of people are, because ever since I heard about how the guy came up with Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, he's like, I literally walked into a bookstore and it's all these vampire books, and it was an anniversary of Lincoln's death, and thought, peanut butter and jelly. Let's see how this goes together. And exactly like you said, like, was he watching The Running Man playing D&D going, there might be something here.
yeah, it's so creative. And as for lingering questions, I have so many, but I need to just let the books keep going for now. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have questions. Like, so at the end of book 2, in order for Carl to move on, he basically creates what essentially could be an ultimate weapon, but it's also an ultimate weapon that he couldn't survive. And I'm like, well, obviously this is going to come up. The question is this not going to show up until the very end, or is this going to show up like, say, in book 5 or 6, where it's just like, well, it's the only way out. I got to figure out how I can survive it and still destroy everything. But yeah, I'm like you, Ray. I have questions, but I'm just trying to let the books go, because fuck, you never know where they're going to go. I'll just go ahead and say this: book 3, trains.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, that was a thing. Like, so in the first floor is a traditional, like, the first one is a traditional dungeon. What is 2?
Book 2 is like a medieval town, and then the
circus. Circus. Yeah.
Well, okay, no, that's floor 3. What is floor 2?
Is this just city?
It's just a city, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
It's
Okay,
the
it's just a city.
So just remember, this is not a spoiler in any way. Levels 3, 6, 9, and 12 are all connected. They're the same theme.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a medieval town, and like you said, there's this evil circus. Actually, as I was trying to get home so that I could eat and start the show, we started off about 30 minutes late because of traffic issues. I was just refinishing the scene where the circus thing wraps up. So, I also love how the little dinosaur is going to top off at growing at 15, but he'll continue to get stronger. But yeah, he'll at that point. So like, he leaves, he has to come back to get him and Donut. And he's like, well, he doubled. He was the size of a turkey. Now he's like up to like my thigh or my knee or whatever. And he just keeps like exponentially getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
That whole scene.
Oh, nice.
That whole scene of Carl coming back and Donut being like having to use her cockroach skill and Mongo being all beaten up. Like, that's one of those things where it's like, this book is hilarious, but peppered throughout, you're going to have these little things that, like, man, I like these characters. I don't want anything to happen to them.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Only because you did mention book 3, I thought this was a fun little addition in the book too.
Oh, nice.
No.
Not spoilery.
Not spoilery, no. All right, so let me ask y'all this. What would you do in this situation?
Probably die. Just being honest, I don't think I'd last very long.
I don't even know if I'd convince you to go down the stairs.
Are the
I'm
kids
a-
there?
I'm afraid I'd be a little too arrogant. Be like, I play D&D all the time. I can figure this out, no problem, you know. And then the first goblin bulldozer thing would take me out.
Okay, so we're all in different situations because Carl, like, he's broken up with his girlfriend. All he has is donut. His mom left. His dad's an absolute asshole. And he doesn't really have, I mean, he has friends and he does think about them from time to time. He's like, oh my God, that guy that I used to be in the Navy with he's gone. Like, I'm sure he was dead. He even references one guy. He's like, yeah, he was, he didn't show up. And so he was in jail waiting to be, arraigned or whatever. He's like, so I guarantee he got smushed during the initial thing. So he will bring up people from time to time, but he's starting off from not having anyone, whereas all of us, the first thought is, well, is these people that I care about, where are they? That would greatly change how things are going. Like, it's one thing if it's like, oh shit, I've got me and I've got Christy and I've got the boys. Hopefully the animals are with us. If we didn't have the animals, there's gonna be a lot of grief right there.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's just me, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to move knowing that my wife and kids are gone. Like, who knows? And it may just turn into an absolute rage monster and just be like, nope, fucking killing everything I can get my hands on from here on out. Done.
Mm-hmm.
But on the happier side, so if you could change your race, would you?
I like what Carl did.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I do too.
Yeah, I like that. I don't think I could do, although what Katya does is pretty. Wait, do we know book two?
That's book 2. Yep.
Yeah, but I don't think I could do that.
You think it's a human?
Well,
It's kinda neat,
I
though.
like how they differentiate her doppelganger from Mordecai Changeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good difference.
Is that a real, like, is that a character out in, like,
Yes,
World?
you can encounter doppelgangers and
Oh, okay.
changelings.
Okay.
Yeah. And they are both different.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, matter of fact, like if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, you'll hear people talk about mimic chests.
Yeah, and I know what a mimic is. Yeah.
So those would basically, I think, would be pretty much the same as a doppelganger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen that thing? It's that meme that says if doppelgangers were real, they wouldn't be chests, they would be Amazon boxes. I was like, yep, pretty much. And then the last question I had for you was, in particular, what class would you go with? It doesn't have to be super specific. Like, I'm a big dude. I'm not fast, so it immediately makes me think I need to go tank. But the idea of being able to use magic seems really fucking cool. But I would always be worried about running out of mana. Is the problem?
The thing about, like, to counter your point is, like, what they specifically talk about when you enter that dungeon, your body changes. Any ailments you have are all out the door. So, like, there may be things you'd be able to do that you probably wouldn't be able to do if you weren't in the dungeon. So because I'm the same thing. Like, every time I play an RPG, I end up being a rogue. I am not small, quiet, or fast anymore. So, but would I still want to do something like that? And the way these dungeons are constructed so far, a rogue isn't really, like, yeah, you could probably do stuff, but they're not really strong enough on their own, to have survived.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you can find a party, that also changes things, like you said, because if you're out by yourself, that's one thing. But if you can, get with a party, then, then you can be more specific. But I think I would have to try to find something that would be, both physical, almost more like a paladin, because I'd want to be able to use magic, for long range stuff. But on the other hand, like, you can't be like, well, shit, I'm about to get into a fight and I don't have enough mana, so I'm screwed.
Do I out nerd you here? Do you want to be a paladin and focus on healing magic, or do you want to be a spell sword and have offensive magic?
Once again, it depends on who I have in a party. So
fair.
So I have a feeling like if my family's with me, I'm probably gonna have to paladin up because I'm just like, who knows what the hell the boys are gonna get into.
I would definitely be very attracted to what Carl's got of the anarchist and like the trap setting and that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can see you doing that for sure.
That would be very interesting.
So what about you, Chris? You slinging magic? You getting out there and using your fist, weapons? What are you doing?
I like the Wii. I don't know.
You'd be a vampire.
Probably.
You would pick a vampire.
What Katya was sounds pretty cool to me. Like I could see myself wanting to do something like that. That's how I feel like I could be like the most helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I could do something like that.
You finished book 3 though, right?
Yes. That would be awful, but like that'd be a lot. I'd probably scream and cry and throw up. But like, I'm
pretty sure they did.
Probably sure she did. But like, as far as book 2, like I would probably pick what Katya picked.
All right, Sean, what are you rolling as?
I don't know, a helicopter pilot, maybe. Sniper.
Yeah.
Actually, I really like that. What's his name that turned into like the tiger? Yeah, I think I could probably handle that. So close combat, but stealthy and all that. So I usually end up doing that in most games I play anyway.
So you have a helicopter.
All rolls are off when you give me a helicopter. Fuck you.
You know what? The AI would do it. The AI would fucking give you a helicopter just to see what the hell you would do.
Oh man.
This specific AI, yes. It's like, let's see what this guy can do with this.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I would blow its mind.
God, I hate having to carry a giant sword that kills everything.
Yeah. I do
This
enjoy
is the worst.
When Carl like breaks the fourth wall, when he gets a prize, and it's like, you guys should have seen it. When he gets the pedicure kit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
shit like that. He knows, like, and he and Donut have to have that conversation where she's just like, you have to do it.
Yep.
Well, yeah, and he even asked her, and she just laughed. So he had to have what's her face show him how to actually do the pedicure kit. So the foot fetish thing is
forgot to do it the one time, and his feet were sore. It's like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah. So every night they have to, at this point in the book, every night to keep their buffs up, he has to give himself a pedicure, or at least go through the motions. Because that was one of the other things he's asking. He's like, do I have to do the entire thing, or do I, whatever? And then Donut has to be brushed for, I think, 5 minutes, 10 minutes or something like that. So even though she was, that's something we didn't even talk about, her charisma, the fact that she can talk to anyone and make them do what she wants, at least up to this point in the books, is hilarious.
Or just the interactions with, I'm trying to think, you also like the Desperado Club, and like the people she sees in there and stuff like that. Like as the book progresses and they books progress and they introduce more to that, it just gets better and better.
Yeah, that's one thing I will say about this as well. Usually I'm worried about when they introduce new characters in books. I'm not concerned about that in this. The majority of the new characters that we get introduced to, they fit right in, and I'm just I keep rolling with it. It's like, I enjoy them.
Yeah, I will say we are introduced to new characters. Some of them are changed. Well, like Mordecai. Mordecai keeps changing because he keeps changing as the floors go or whatever. So we keep Mordecai, but he's different every time. But just the way that the book is we're we're still losing people, and we do lose some people even in the second book that you're just like, oh wow, well they're gone now. So, and like you said, there's no coming back. Like Donut does have that cockroach ability that lets her basically take a killing blow, but then like brings her back to like 5%. But yeah, otherwise if you die, you die. So, and that scene when the old guy is pissing on the wall and dies, the fact that it opens up and it's like the recap show, it's like, yeah, they're just like zoomed in on his dick.
Yeah.
And they pull out, and it's just like, of course they're going to do that. Like,
Oh, I think it's
so
interesting
funny
that the showrunners are purposely editing the recaps to make certain characters look a certain way.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they're making Carl look like he's insane, or more insane than he really is. Actually, insane. Carl's not insane. He's just trying his best to cope. But yeah, they're trying to make him look insane. But something we never really talked about. So the whole thing is this: we start finding out that this alien civilization that's doing this is part of like a larger federation of other aliens, and like this wasn't supposed to happen for another 2 years, but they defaulted on their rights to the Earth, and so they basically started everything up fast. They are on the brink of basically going bankrupt or whatever, and people are going to swoop in and basically destroy them. So not only did they start everything up 2 years earlier than it should have happened, but they need it to make a lot of money, but they can't collect on the money until it finishes. So they're also making things go faster than it should. So like even in, I think, floor 2, it's only 6 days long, and Mordecai's just like, the hell, like, floor 2 is always supposed to be 10 days. He's like, if they keep this up, like floor 6 will be like, 30 days, and it's supposed to be like, 4 months. He's like, this is going to make things so hard on everyone. And I just thought about something. Go on.
And then he also talks about how the AI is trying to match as well. So
yes.
We're doing this. Okay, then we need the people to have this to survive, just so that it balances it out, which I do appreciate that.
Another scene I completely forgot about that I loved was, I love going back to Carl being a good guy. So, he has decided, him and Donut, and he said, I'm very proud whenever, I asked her, and she said, of course we're going to do this, trying to help the old people, trying to help them keep moving. But like when he goes on that show with the pig guy and challenges him, and he's just, and he just is just like, hey, why don't you put me and Donut out there? And, he basically just completely throws him off and pisses him off. And at the end, I love the fact that at the end of that thing during the interview, they're just like, yeah, there's a made up sex video of you and this dude. It's not real, is it? He's just like, no.
The maestro.
So, the maestro.
They do find out at the end of book 2 that it was a snick. It was
yes. I love how the fact that he's just like, listen, I'm not gay, but even if I was, not for that guy. Like,
yeah.
So, all right. Is there anything else that y'all want to cover before we wrap up our discussion of books 1 and 2?
The last
narration. The narration is spot, like Jeff Hayes, who narrates this. I've never heard any of his other stuff. I am really curious to look, but his voice is so versatile. Like,
so good. Yeah.
He does.
And you were very right when you described it as kind of sounded, and God, I wish I could remember his name right offhand, but the guy who plays Putty.
Patrick Warburton.
Patrick Warburton. He does smack of Patrick Warburton, and it's a good ride.
I was telling them earlier, this is not a spoiler because it's literally on the cover of the book. But in book 6, Patrick Warburton makes a guest appearance.
That's going to be so cool.
That's awesome.
And I highly recommend Googling Jeff Hayes doing a snippet of the book, because he does it live. It's like on TikTok and stuff like that. It's like a 30-second, but it's him doing Carl and Donut, like it's one scene, but he switches back and forth, back and forth. It's almost unnerving, but it's just so cool. It's like 30 seconds, but it's so good.
Yeah, I thought that there was I thought there was multiple voice actors for almost each person, because the female voice. Now I think there are for some of the female, like they do talk about other voice actors in some of it. So I know that he doesn't do all of the voices, but like, damn, it's very versatile, like you said.
Yeah.
And kind of piggybacking off of that, and probably this is where it got why you thought this, Ray. As the books have progressed, the production value around them, like the background, the sound effects, and everything like that they're doing, and they're adding the music and whatnot, has been.
Oh, are
phenomenal.
they? Okay. Because he mentions that they might start doing that at the end of books 1 and 2. So, and I was just like, well, I wonder if they're going to switch over. So it sounds like they do finally make that jump. So.
So, and that was going to be the only other piece that I bring up is the end of the books. The commercials are.
Oh yeah,
those are funny.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. It is very well done.
It's funny because it's very much a commercial, but it's also something that has to do with the plot. So you got to listen anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I mean, obviously, we're all agreed. We're enjoying the books. Almost all of us are done up to book 3. Like I said, I can see us coming back and finish, and at least doing maybe 2 of the books every time. Maybe we should kind of plan on that in the future. But yeah. Any last things? Oh yeah, there we go. That's the third one. Anyway, any last words? Any last comments? The only thing I can say is where's it been? Like I said, I take that back. I know it has put it in front of me before, but I'm just like, well, I'm trying to figure out what made me not click on it. I don't know why I didn't give it a shot till now, but Joseph, good job. Knock this one out of the park, buddy.
I know I've said this a bunch of times, but it makes me so happy that you guys like this book as much as I do. You know?
Oh, dude, yeah. Like every one of us, I think, have had at least one book series that we've introduced, and the other ones have been like, good job. So,
yeah, no, I will continue to work on my Kronk, and especially with, yeah.
I kept thinking today when I'm walking around, I'm just like I said, I can't see them doing this as a live action, but my God, this would be hilarious live action. This would actually be hilarious just animated, though. Even like I'd watch it just that way.
I would watch it animated. I could see it being a live action. Just
so can I.
Yeah,
I just think it'd be so expensive. But I mean, as long as it gets the ratings that it needs, I mean, they would do it.
So, and if you think about it, like, because I think it would parody enough, and I think, especially if they get the rights for some of the stuff that they've talked about in the different things, I don't know. I think they could really knock it out of the park, and I think the viewership would be there.
I think it would have a following, kind of like The Boys. The Boys is a parody of superhero stuff. You know, like this would be in the kind of similar vein.
And that's what I was thinking. I was thinking the Orville, where they have that following. So yeah.
I just thought of another scene I absolutely love. It just cracks me up. It's the second boss that he fights, the juicer.
Oh yeah.
Bro.
I was listening to that whenever y'all were talking about getting I think it was Jen said something about getting through stuff, and I almost wrote back, in a dude bro voice, something like, you gotta get those numbers up, bro. You're not gonna get any gains listening at 1X, man. But yeah, and like it's so funny. The first boss, you talk about the first boss. The first boss is this woman speaking in, I think she's speaking in Spanish.
Yes.
Yeah. You couldn't.
What did she say?
Yeah, what'd she say, Joseph?
I'd have to go back and listen to it. I don't remember.
Okay.
Please do, because the whole time I'm sitting there going, okay, surely she is actually speaking Spanish, but yeah, it's like she's pulled, like she's obviously in pain. It's a horrible scene. He's just like, I've just got to do this to get it done. And the second one is the juicer, and you're just like, no, fucking kill this guy as quick as you can. And then you have the ball of swine, and you're just like, ugh. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, all right. I guess let's go ahead and move on to our picks and pan. Or no, I'm sorry, not our picks and pans. Wrong show. Let's talk about what else we've been reading. Anyone like to go first? I can.
I've just kept going. Like I said, I'm about
Fair
halfway
enough.
through book 6 at this point.
Mm-hmm. I have finished book 3. The only other thing that I've read is and book 3 is the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook. So I have finished that one. The only other thing I finished was, is it book 16, 17?
17.
17. Task Force Hammer. It is a fantastic time to be a reader, because it is. Sean's right. It very much feels like the very beginning of the series again. You're just kind of back in that old groove, and it just feels fun. You just love hanging out with Skippy and everyone else. Good. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. So yeah, those are the only two that, like I said, I read these 2 books, the third one, and then I also, got Skippy in there. And I am very glad I did Skippy before I started this, because it would be really hard, even though I had already bought the credit, it'd be really hard to go back to Skippy right now, because as is, I'm like jonesing, trying to figure out, oh, maybe I could spend a little extra money and go ahead and buy another credit or 2, or, if Audible will let me, trade in some more books, because apparently I've hit my limit for the year. I can get some more credits that way. So
The Gate of the Feral Gods is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, Sean, what else you been reading?
So I'm about halfway through book 3 at Dungeon Crawler. So I did the first 2 and then this one. In between 2 and 3, though, I read Extinction by Douglas Preston.
Mm-hmm.
It was all right. It's kind of, there's a bit of science fiction in it and cloning, and they bring back like woolly mammoths and giant park and I don't know, somewhere in the US, whatever. And anyway, people start dying and detectives go in and they can't figure it out. And anyway, the story wasn't too bad. It was a little predictable. About, I don't know, even a quarter of the way through the book, you kind of like, okay, I know what's going on here. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've read other Douglas Preston ones. This one kind of left it as like a wide open, oh, I could do a whole series now, but I know he won't. So I'm debating on whether I should return it or not to get my credit back. We'll see. But yeah, I'm back into Dungeon Crawler, so that's good. And I got the rest already waiting for me, so I'll get through all 6. And right, should take me up to when they release 7.
All right, Ray, what else you been reading?
Dungeon Crawler. Carl. Just I had to share that's in book. The little things in this book are fantastic.
It was expensive.
Well, it was, but it's definitely worth it. And then the one thing that I haven't done that I really want to is there's bonus material at the back of each book.
Really?
So yeah, I have to read it.
Well, there's the title of it.
Right
here.
So it's Backstage at the Pineapple Cabaret. So there's that one in the first one. There's a part 2 of that in the second book, and then the third book. I don't know if you want me to tell you or not, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Because I can. So it's part 3. But the part 3 on this one that I thought was interesting is it talks about Growler Gary. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah. First one's about Rory.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know the second one. So I'm going to be reading those, and I'll let you know if it's worth Oh, listen. The other thing is, I did find the part that has Spanish in it. So Joseph, I'm gonna take pictures of it and send it to you,
Okay.
and you can
Please do, because I would like to know what she's.
Yeah.
Me too. I can. Yeah, there's like a couple words where I'm like, yes, I know, but in the context of a whole sentence and what she's saying, I'm like, that could mean anything. I don't know.
Well, once again, at double speed, I didn't have a prayer. Like,
Yeah.
but I kind of felt like Carl, because even at the end, he's just like, I don't know what she was saying, and honestly, I think it would have been worse if I did. So, yep. Chris, you been reading anything else, or just
Yeah.
in Carl world?
No, I've been reading other stuff too. So I just finished the third one the other day. And in between all of that, I read a book called Iron Widow by Zaranje Zhao. She's a Canadian author. She's from BC. And it's more of a young adult. It's kind of like Pacific Rim with a love triangle situation going on. It's a retelling of the only empress of China. And her name was Wu Zhang. And it's sort of like a reimagining of that whole time. So I read that, and it was entertaining. It was fine, but definitely young adult. And then I read something from one of my favorite authors that I hadn't read before for some reason. And it's called No Mercy by Sherry Lynn Kenyon. Just, one of those paranormal romance things that cleanses the palate in between stuff. And then I'm listening to, for my other book club, it's called The Day the World Came to Town, 9/11 in Gander, Newfoundland, by Jim. I'm going to butcher his last name.
I've heard of this one.
And it's narrated by Ray Porter. So it's kind of
Wow.
getting like a history lesson from Bob. It's really cool. And it's only 5.5 hours. So it's just sort of, I'm learning way more history about just air traffic controlling. That's very organized, which makes me very happy. But also just like the ins and outs of what happened. I've only listened to an hour of it, but there's been a lot of information so far, and you're kind of recalling what happened that day and what you remember, where you were, kind of thing. And then
crazy day.
It was. So just listening to that right now. But yeah, Ray Porter narrates it. And it's really, I think it makes it better because he's narrating it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read this to you?
Sure.
Maybe when I was going to say Ben, but that works too.
All right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris. I was reading this and I was like, okay. So to go back as to what she was saying, she starts out with saying, "Please help me. I don't know what's happening. My stomach hurts. I don't know where I am. Please, I'm scared." And then she yells, "Please help me." And then it goes to, "I feel like I was a bad person. I don't want my daughter to be sick. I don't want to go to hell. Please save me, Jesus." That's what she
kind
says.
of wishing I hadn't known that.
Well, considering what pain and the torture she was going through, and especially because like I said, I just refinished the whole part on the circus in the second book. Is the way he convinces the ringleader guy is like the bear. Before she died, you could you have access to my memories. I was setting her free. I was helping her. Please help me by helping the other people. Yeah. And it goes into that definitely more in the third book. It's like, this is a fucked up situation, not just for the crawlers, but for everybody. And in some cases, putting them out of their misery may be the best thing you can do for them.
Well, Sean, you're about halfway through book 3. It's just when they talk to the gnome and kind of help him trying to figure out what's going on. And when, as a reader, you start to figure out what's going on with those people. Yeah. That's kind of it's kind of messed up.
Yeah. Oh, it's very messed up. Once again, going back to our initial thing, like I said, if you really think about it, if you take out all the humor, this is a very dark, very twisted story, but the humor just makes it palatable. So, anyway, we do not have a plan for next month. Next month is December. we don't always get an episode done in December just because there's so much stuff going on. If we do an episode for December, we'll do a what else we've been reading episode where we just talk about everything else we've been reading. So no pressure on getting a book done. Essentially, we'll take a month off. And like I said, if we do manage to get together, we'll just talk about all the other books that we've read over the year. So that is our episode for the month, ladies and gentlemen. If you would please give us a listen, a thumbs up, a like, whatever on wherever it is you listen to the show. From what I understand, not Stitcher, what's it called? The streaming service. One of the streaming services is the biggest place to get podcasts now. Like completely overtook iTunes. Number 2 is YouTube. So I'm glad we're doing a video version of it. So even if you don't watch the video version, you can get the audio version there. But anyway, wherever you listen to the show, definitely give us a share, give us a like. It does help out. Maybe get some more people. I'd love to have, if we had a big enough base that we could at least ask questions and get, responses from people, because I'm sure we've got questions about what we might want to do with the shows. And is that what the people who are listening would like to hear and see? So if you are listening to the show, drop us a line. Like I said, you can email us at epicallygeekysite@gmail.com, or check us out on Facebook or Instagram. Send us a message. I'll get it and we'll see what's going on. So, then you can, like I said, you can follow us on, social media at Facebook and Instagram, or check us out at the site where you can check out the other shows we do, including the Epically Geeky Show, Creatively Geeky, and Sustainably Geeky. Where can we find you online, Ray?
The Reluctant Yeti on Instagram. That's
Chris?
Moody Midlife on Instagram.
Joseph?
I have finally cleansed my life of the pit of despair that X is, and now you can find me Morjo7 on Blue Sky.
Nice.
Oh, okay. So you moved over there. Sean?
Fucking on Wikipedia, usually. I've started that back up. All those college and university kids coming up on their final exams, so screwing my work.
Can you put some Carlosms out there?
Also, your favorite broken toy, spelled the Canadian way, on Instagram and TikTok, and on Facebook sometimes. Never X. I got rid of that a long time ago. Too creepy.
I'm still debating. I just held on to my account just because I don't want anyone else to have it. But yeah, I don't post on there. I don't look at anything on there. It's just there. As always, you can find my individual wacky adventure online at Optimus Jane on Facebook and Instagram. For everyone on the site, have a good night.